And good morning. Good morning, Peter.
Morning,
Um,
Mark. How are you?
yeah, we're good, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Pleasure to
Um,
be here.
yeah, welcome, Peter. So Peter is a CRO at Living Map, and we're going to speak about building a winning team culture, and other issues sort of like surrounding that. So, of course, Peter, you're very welcome. You can hear me, okay?
I
Yeah,
can hear you fine, Mark. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can. Excellent,
Great.
excellent. Okay, Peter, as way of introduction, tell us a little bit about, Living Map, how it came
Sure,
about, what your core
sure.
functions are, your target audience, and
Yeah.
what drives you. What drives you?
Sure. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for the invite. It's great to chat to you. So yeah, Living Map is it's been around a while now. They've been around for about
Yeah,
5 or 6 years, really doing that sat nav experience for indoors. So if you're going to a shopping mall, you're going to a museum, you're going into a hospital. What it's all about is creating that environment where you have a map, a functional map in your hand, so you can go for where you need to get to. So if you use let's pick an example like a hospital, you have an appointment with a specialist.
yeah.
You're generally going to be quite anxious before you get to the hospital anyway. And how many times you've been to a hospital, you walk in, and you go, oh my
You
God,
don't know
where am I
where you're
going to go?
going.
You've got
Right.
20 people stood there, volunteers trying to point you in the right direction. And I mean,
Yeah,
these hospitals are built to be very functional, and they're built
yeah,
to be very, very good at what they do, especially these
yeah,
new hospitals that have been built today. But,
yeah,
human beings are going to walk in and going to go, if they're not if they're not a clinical specialist, they're not an operational specialist of
yeah.
that particular building, they're going to
Right.
struggle to find their way. And we've got so many use cases of people struggling to find their way within hospitals. But
Right.
if they had a simple map in their hand that had a blue dot to say where they were and where they need
Yeah,
to get to,
yeah,
that would be really cool, right? That's what they want. So that's what Living Map's all about. It's giving that
yeah,
user experience the ability to find where they're trying to get to
yeah.
in a format that everybody understands. A map. Everyone's know how to read a map. A map is one of the oldest tools we've
Yeah, it
got.
is. It
We
surely is.
digitize it. We
Yeah,
make it functional. We make it digital. And there's two really cool things that come out the back of Living Map. Number one, you can change the map anytime. So the person that's trying to find the location doesn't know the map's changed. It's just changed in the background and it's showing you where it needs to do. So that appointment you got with that specialist, he's moved from room 17 on the 15th floor to
yeah.
room 12 on the 8th floor.
Right,
The patient doesn't know. It just
right.
goes to where that appointment is because it's been changed in
Excellent.
the background. So it's updated automatically in the background, which is really cool. It's really
Fantastic. All
cool.
right. So it's very adaptive, it's agile. It's yeah, so
Absolutely.
I mean that's brilliant. That's very very practical, very pragmatic. And I see that you guys are in I've looked at your website, you're in health, retail, culture, transport. So you kind of, you're across all domains, so to speak, which is
Absolutely.
excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
So Peter, obviously at Living Map, you're known for your innovation at Living, you within that particular space. So what
Mhm.
would you say were kind of some of your successes? What are your winning, what are the areas, what are your unique selling points? What are the areas that you feel have come across in recent times that have really attracted your prospects to your
Sure.
brand? Yeah.
Sure. So, as I said earlier on, it's that ability to make the change in the background, so that
Yeah.
the patient, the passenger, the customer doesn't know that change is happening. So that's really cool for all different organisations. You talk about retail, you talk about healthcare, you talk about
Yeah.
leisure, you talk about museums. We're installed in the Met Museum in New York. We have nearly fifty
Excellent.
thousand people visiting the map on a month by month basis. So things change, and that the patron doesn't know that it's changed. So the ability to make those changes is real value, and that's real innovation, right? So people can come and enjoy themselves so much more. The great thing about, I don't know, retail, how many times have you been into a shopping mall? Clearly, I don't go into them very often, see the way of truth, but
Yeah.
shopping malls are very complex, very busy. You want to
Right.
get in there, you want to get where you want to get to, but
Yeah.
the shopping mall management team want to keep you there. They want you to look around, they want you to browse, they
Yeah.
want you to go and have a coffee, they want you to
Yeah.
have a better experience. But if it's really busy and really crammed, then you come out, you can't find your car. The ability to be able to take that time and put it into to your shopping experience is really important for big retail. So we're in the traffic centre, we're in the metro centre, where
Yeah.
it gives them their ability to be able to do that. So real innovation around that. So things like, where's Primark? Primark is a 5 minute walk. I'm in a wheelchair. Okay, well, let me give you a step-free walk rather than having to go up steps or escalators. Here's
Excellent.
the lifts. Here's where you need to go. So that's really innovation as well. But also, when that person is going along to the Primark store, they're going past Starbucks, they're going past
Mm.
yeah, they're going past coffee shops and pinging them a little advert to say, hey, look, it's busy today. Do you want a
Oh,
10% off your Starbucks when you go past there?
yeah.
And have a look around and this shop's there, that shop there. So the ability to be able to communicate with your, I suppose, customer while they're
Yeah.
going through that experience, and even taking that to healthcare, being able to communicate with your patient to make
Yeah.
sure that they get into the right place, taking that anxiety and that I suppose that problem away, and then
Yeah.
also from a passenger perspective, in a hospital, sorry, in a hospital, and an airport,
Mm.
you've got to get from Terminal 2 to Terminal 4
Yeah.
within a very quick period of time. Well, actually, we know the security gate is really busy here, but if you walk 5 minutes down the road, there's another security gate, which is a lot lighter. Get through there. Oh, look, your flight is 3 minutes, leaving in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You're an hour away. You're not going to make the flight. We bump you
Mm.
off that. Or if you start buying an extra bag of Quavers and WH Smiths, which of course we always do,
Yeah.
go grab them, get on the plane because the
Yeah.
plane's going to leave.
Yeah.
Having that ability to interact with people, having the ability to
Yeah.
be able to, the
It's like
patient,
real-time adaptive kind of,
exactly.
companionship, so to speak. Yeah.
Exactly. So
And
that
guidance.
ability to be able to
Yeah.
interact both ways is real innovation for us, and something that really kind of gives us the leadership within the
Within
environment.
that
But also then
space. Yeah.
taking it from a marketing, take to the next step, right? So
Yeah.
you've got the wayfinding element, which is absolutely key to a lot of these organizations. But then you take it to the next. One of the great things that we can do is we can layer the map. So
Right.
then we can say, right, okay, out the back of that, we can say we're going to give a map to the operational people so they know where the porters are. So the
Right.
porter's not doing 30,000 steps a day, he's doing 10,000 steps a day because you can send the nearest porter to the person that needs the nearest porter that's trained to pick up
Yeah.
someone with a broken leg or whatever
Yeah.
and move them quicker. So you can start to layer it. You can then go down a different layer and you can say, right, actually, I want to link into my asset management platform and I want to start to see where the fire extinguishers are, when they were last serviced. You can have all that, kicking up. We want to looking at a detailed map and say, right,
Yeah.
I want to go into the, sorry, my phone's just
No,
ringing.
that's fine. That's
Go
fine.
into go into the detailed level of
Yeah.
where assets are. Where's the
Excellent.
bed? Is the room been cleaned? Has it not been
Yeah.
cleaned? Seeing that in a very visual map is something that
Excellent.
we're finding is real value. So
Yeah.
where wayfinding is really important for the
Yeah.
experience that you're going to give, whether it's patient, whether it's passenger, whether it's customer. We're going into that next level. We're becoming a real utility for organizations. So
Yeah,
once
for
wayfinding map,
facilitation, facilities companies, and this and that. So you're really kind of like, so you're using the particular asset that you have and the sort of its function, its functionality to really sort of like spread out. That's
absolutely.
excellent. Oh, brilliant. That's really good. So, I mean, let's say a CRO, that's really good. It's a great setting, what it's about, what it can do, its potential. So a CRO, you obviously have a unique perspective, on the sort of like the intersection between sales and operations. How would you describe this, like the DNA of your team culture that drives your kind of commercial success, or that drives your raison d'être, your reason for
Yeah.
being, so to
Yeah.
speak?
It's a great question, Mark. Thank you very much. I've never been asked that before. So the CRO is a relatively new role,
Okay.
but what they're saying is that sort of 90% of organizations are going to have a CRO on the board
Yeah,
within that
true.
period of time because you're absolutely nailed what the actual function I believe as a CRO is.
Yeah,
And if you look at my background, it's from an operation. I was in sales. I went into an operational background. I was managing director in
yeah,
SSC Telecoms, and then coming into a CRO role. It's the importance of having that link between the operational area and the front end, as we want to call it. That's the sales and marketing. So you've got the go-to-market strategy in your mind, but at the same time, in the back of your head, you're always thinking operational. You're always thinking, how do I make sure that this business that I'm very much part of can operate at the level that we're going to within the space and what we're trying to launch our product into, and also I find that my one of the things that's made my life a little bit easier is a strong technical understanding. So I've been in IoT and smart technologies for 20 years, from launching the BlackBerry product back in 2000 to being running the digital innovation team at Telefonica, and being part of that has made me quite technical and forced to be technical in what I'm trying to do. So that's always kind of, I suppose, helped me along the way to achieve what I need to achieve as my go-to-market strategy. So having a good understanding of the operational team, having a very strong understanding of the technical side, having a good understanding of what the marketplace is demanding, kind of gives you the ability to be able to be successful. We could always be more successful. We could always drive more sales. We could always
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
efficiently. But at the end of the day, it's about driving revenue. So how do we get money quicker into the business so we can grow at a pace which the customers are demanding us to do? So you kind of, from my perspective, from my personal perspective, the ability to be able to do that puts me in a very a good position to be a CRO, which is what is defined as the new role within a board at the moment. And then I suppose in taking the team dynamic, which is what you talked about, there's
Yeah.
always been this gap between sales, operations,
Yeah.
technology. My I suppose my skills are try and bring all that together, so that the operational and the technical people know what the salespeople are up to. Not getting salespeople out there selling vaporware or selling something that no one can do. They're actually understanding what they're trying to achieve, and also having that ability to be the front end of the business. To have, as you said, I'm the person that's going to come and do these podcasts. I'm the person that's
Yeah.
going to stand in front of the world and say, this is why you want to buy Living Map, and making sure the whole business is behind what we're trying to achieve, I think is key. And making sure that, the team look at you. I always say as a leader, you're the lowest person in the business.
Right. Yeah.
As a leader in a business,
A wolf. The leaders are always at the back of the pack, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, absolutely, so you've got to make sure that everyone is fed and watered and has got
Yeah.
everything they need, as everyone's,
That's right.
collaborating and working well together. And it kind of brings that piece to bear as your go-to-market strategy. Because,
Yeah.
and I'll say this to whoever listen, Mark, business is all about making money. We've got to
Oh
make money.
yeah,
We've got to
it's
make
about growth.
well,
Yeah, it's
absolutely
about
about
growth.
growth.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you haven't got your team behind you, right, from an operation, from a
right.
technical,
Yeah,
from a
you,
HR, from everything, sales, marketing, it's really hard to do
it
it.
is difficult. Yeah, fantastic. Which kind of leads me to the next question. You've kind of partly answered it. So when you look back at the past, so like 12 to 18 months, what is one specific change or initiative implemented, from your perspective, in the leadership role that you feel has sort of had impact in scaling your team's performance? Is there any kind of a set of initiatives or one specific thing that
Yeah.
you feel has really been impactful?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about our locator product, which is our
Yeah,
asset management
yeah,
platform that we kind of brought out. If you think about where that's coming from, when you start talking about mapping and people finding their way, it's quite easy to understand.
yeah,
I mean, right from the start, the elevator pitch for Living Map from a wayfinding perspective is really cool. People love to hear that, oh, I can actually get a map. Similar to what I have in my car, I can get a
yeah,
map in my hand
yeah,
and it shows me where Primark is within a
yeah,
retail, or it can show me where my specialist is, or I can find out where my gate is at an airport.
yeah,
But actually taking that and layering it and going to that next stage, saying, actually, I'm going to go into a hospital. I'm going to see which rooms have been cleaned. I'm going to see where the porters are, so they can help me and we can effectively get me. Where is the crash machine? Where is the next available bed? So it really is, and that really has been
that's
something.
yeah, that's the asset location that you were because I
That's
was
it.
looking at your, obviously I was looking at your website and I was sort of like looking asset location. That would be an
Mm,
interesting, so that you kind of, yeah, you're kind of interpreting that, and
absolutely.
that's a gap, isn't it? It's a gap.
It's a
Um,
huge gap. It's a
yeah,
huge gap, but it's the visualization of that. I mean, there's so many great companies out there that will do the sensor, that will do they put a sensor and it connects to a network and it says, well, here it is. But it's that visualization of that real time mapping environment to be able to say, and maps change all the time. And the ability for people to say, right, where is the crash machine? Where is the nearest bed in a hospital? Where is my gate? Now, that was a real initiative that we brought out across the whole of the business. So, it's not, we are a wayfinding company that actually the next stage, the next step in our direction is this. And to get the whole of the Living Map organization behind us to be able to bring that to bear and really start to see customers start to come out. We've had to integrate partners in with, we've got a great partner in Symbiotic that does a lot of the job allocation out there. They're very much within healthcare sector, but they are moving into the retail and the hospitality space. But, they're very much in they have the ability to be able to do that job allocation, but they're able to visualize, see where the ports are. So they can give the closest port to the job, or they can visualize, see which room needs cleaning. So a
yeah,
supervisor can actually manage that. And that's a real, I suppose, real innovation from a
It
product
is.
perspective.
It
Brings a
definitely
team
is.
together.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and we're still very much part of that, that world of COVID where people were forced to work from home.
yeah.
We still have a lot of our developers, a lot of our team that work from home,
Different.
and been
Yeah,
able to bring them all together around a process and a project like Locator, which is our asset management
yeah,
platform, our asset location product, is really cool, and
yeah.
it kind of motivates people and it drives people to pull together and work together. And that's where I found that we've been really quite innovative as a Living Map, as an organization, as a management team. Get everybody together and get them hungry about doing something that's really cool.
Excellent, excellent. So you kind of like you've answered my next question was ensuring your team culture remains agile. We spoke about digital transformation. I think you spoke about digital transformation. Yeah, I'm a great advocate of digital transformation. I worked, coming to companies and getting into that as a contractor. And so, like, getting people to work from waterfall to agile. And they always
Yeah,
sort of say to
yeah,
you that, well, we're making so much money.
yeah.
Why, who's this person telling us what to do kind of thing. So I know, I definitely do know. So let's say, your team remaining agile and kind of
Mhm.
like up to the mark and adapting to the changing sort of like market paradigm. Because, whichever way you look at it, you're obviously a tech guy.
Yep.
You're very much abreast with technology and what's happening and how it's really changing things. How do you keep your team abreast of that? Is it,
Mhm.
how do you do that? Do you just sort of like introduce new things or updating workshops and this and that, or do you have
Yeah.
like learning
Yeah.
platforms or how does
We
that
don't.
with you?
Yeah, I mean we're a very collaborative team,
Yeah.
So because we are generally a remote team, I'm working from home today. I generally work from home. We do
Oh,
have our
right.
offices in Bath,
Yeah.
but we generally are a remote team, and the
Right.
ability, and unfortunately, I believe that people collaborate best when they're together. I believe I'm an old-fashioned kind of guy when it comes to that. I believe that
Yeah.
people sometimes coming together and working around having
Face
that
to
2 minute
face. Yeah.
over the water cooler. They have the water cooler
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
say in the
Yeah.
States. I still think that collaboration gets some of the best solutions out there. And
Yeah.
because we don't have that facility to do that, and a lot of our people are remote and spread across the country, it's
Right.
really important that we do that. So our management team we have regular catch-ups with the sales and marketing team of what's going on. We're constantly looking at the market, we're constantly understanding what our partners are saying, and we're feeding that back into the organization. We have an all hands call every Monday morning for absolutely everybody in the organization to come together, to collaborate, to talk and figure out what we do. Then we do we've got a technical division as well, which does the sprints, and we've got a development person that
Yeah.
does the sprints.
Okay. Yeah.
The sprint calls fall out the back of those, and then
Yeah.
we're all pulled in from all over the place to be able to do that. So we have a sales guy that may have come up in front of a customer, would have gone into one of our big South Warwickshire NHS Trust, gone in front of them, and there was a challenge that came out. It comes out, and all of a sudden, people start to collaborate and work. And I say it's a new way of doing it, and who am I as an old man to come in and say it's got to be
Yeah.
different? It's really more important the way we work, the way we need to work to be
Yeah.
able to what we do. And I think we get that. And so for us, it's all about collaborating, talking
Yeah.
to each other,
Collaborative.
keeping
Yeah.
together.
Getting rid of the silos, chucking the silos
Exactly.
away. Yeah.
Exactly, so we're not a big organization, we don't have the time to be siloed, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
a good thing in one way.
It is.
But it's really cool to just bring everyone together and have those
Yeah.
conversations.
Brilliant.
It's not as easy as it used to be, but it is, from my way, it works. It works well for
Yeah.
us, and
So, I mean,
and
I
because
think,
we're constantly looking at that as well, Mark. I mean, if you
yeah.
constantly think about, what we do, the partners are constantly challenging us. Symbiotics are constantly challenging us to do more, to be innovative. They're not working with our development and technical team, or they're not working with the marketing team, or
Yeah.
it can become really quite siloed straight away, right? So we try to break that down as quick as possible.
Brilliant. So, in terms of like high growth, you're obviously a kind of like I mean, you mentioned that you've got a small team, but then, like little scrum packs that can be very kind of
Yeah.
formative and very penetrative. If they're too
Mm.
big, they can be too kind of like cumbersome and everything. But you are a kind of like a high growth company. So
Yes.
obviously, yeah, you're a high growth company that, if you could wave a magic wand and instantly solve some operational challenge, related to perhaps talent identification or nurturing. Have you thought about that, or do you know what that would be?
I think if I could magic wand around maybe sort of talent acquisition, it's right now. I mean, I suppose if I had an opportunity to wipe a magic wand, I'd make the market a little bit more friendly.
Right.
We're in the UK. We're in a really tough space right
Yeah.
now, I think it is
Yeah.
from a lot of the impact that we've had around multiple different political impacts. But
Yeah.
we're a tough space, and for organisations are watching every single penny. And what's really interesting, and I said this before in a former podcast, and I'll say it again.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges we have as a route to market is that when our solution goes in front of a CFO or a finance director,
Yeah.
it's generally going through somebody else. It's generally not us that's doing it. So if
Yeah.
I had a magic wand, I'd say, let me go speak to the finance director and let me tell you how I'm going to add value to their organization when they buy a Living Map solution. And what I mean by
Right.
that is the first thing they see is they see a map. Oh, I'm not paying a subscription for a map. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'm not paying that
Yeah.
for a map.
Yeah.
But actually, when you actually cut to the chase of them printing out a PDF to go to their patient customers,
Yeah.
passengers, it costs them more to do that than it would do for them
Yeah.
putting a digital solution in
Yeah.
place and actually having the ability to make those changes instantly. Because all they see is a map and they say, well, how much for a map? I'm not doing that. But
Yeah.
actually, what you're actually buying is a software platform that gives you the ability to make those changes and to
Yeah.
start to build in asset management, start to build in asset location, and start to really drive true value to what your organization is trying to do. So you're
Yeah.
increasing productivity, you're reducing costs. That's what I do because everybody sees Living Map as we generate digital maps, and we do. We're the best in the market at it. However,
Yeah.
what we actually do is we have a software platform
Right.
that gives you the ability to manage that map. The digital
Right.
build of that map is the bit you need to do at the beginning. Of course, you do. We need to make that
Yeah.
digital. But once you've got that, it can evolve, it can grow, you can add buildings, take buildings away, you can
Yeah.
do whatever you
Yeah.
need to do. And I think if I had a magic wand, I'd go into the market and say, you know what, we're trying to save you money, we're trying to increase productivity and reduce
Yeah.
costs. We're
Yeah.
trying to give you that ability to do that. So I think if I had the magic wand, I'd find it a little obviously any CRO or any sales guy
Yeah.
worth his salt would say this,
Yeah.
easier to market, easier to sell, easier to talk
Excellent.
to customers. But I think from an
Right.
operational perspective, I think it's we're lean, we're mean organization, as you said, we're driving our marketing activities across a limited budget to be able to make sure that we can hit the right place that we need to get to. I think from a technical perspective, I would definitely be talking more smart technologies. It's my background. It's what I love to talk about.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
do we integrate faster, quicker into the IoT infrastructures, into connectivities like BLE or Wi-Fi or Zigbee or Bluetooth,
Yeah.
BLE, we mentioned BLE, but LoRaWAN. How do we cellular, which is another one I must always mention cellular, being a Telefonica man. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah.
really important that we can do that quicker and leaner and meaner.
Yeah.
I think we're
You're
there.
you're very much aware of 810, 810, 8, sort of like the workflows and everything like that. Are you?
Yes, yeah, yeah, no, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So driving that kind of activities of,
Yeah.
bringing that processes in place. I mean, we do it well here, but doing more and more is always good.
Yeah, brilliant. So let's say, obviously we're talking about growth. So where there's growth, there's obviously the context of scaling, right?
Yes.
So, I think, with AI, we've spoken about technology. So obviously the kind of like the elephant in the room or like the
Mhm.
albatross in the room is AI,
Yeah.
right? So I know that a lot of people, well, I mean, one of the ways that I look at it is that AI kind of gives you your time back, doesn't it? Because it
100%.
does things faster and this and that. So, back office in terms of efficiency, efficacy of purpose, we talked about back
Mhm.
end so
Mhm.
that, guys like you and me can sort of like be at the front end and do what really matters, talking to
Yeah.
people,
Yeah. Mhm.
being authentic, knowing that there's
Mhm.
a real face, we're not,
Mhm.
we're not sort of like AI, whatever, clones or whatever, so,
Yeah.
so that's, so how, in the context of scaling, sorry, back to my question, what are the
Sure.
biggest time sinks or processes that currently distract perhaps your yourself or others within your team, strategic
Mhm.
people within your team from kind of like optimized performance or doing
Sure.
stuff that you prefer them to be doing
Sure.
instead
Sure.
of, doing sort of, I don't know, hitting the coal face, like digging
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
coal face, so to speak.
No, I think we embrace AI, we embrace
Yeah.
machine learning, we embrace that kind
Yeah.
of technology. I have done for when it first came out. God knows how many
Yeah.
years ago we were talking about AI for really 15, 20 years, and people talk about AI as being ChatGPT. Well, it kind of is,
No,
but
no,
it's
it's
so
not.
much more than that. It's so much more. so
Yeah,
much more valuable than that.
of
But
course.
I think if you break that down into where would I see it being of huge value to us, it's absolutely around the ability to be able to speak to more customers, being able to market to more customers. And I do love the processes that are coming out right now around lead generation. Let's face it, Mark, we know this. Picking up the phone and calling 100 customers a day is a kind of dying art now.
Yeah,
Um,
telesales. I remember telesales back in the day. You get on the phone, like,
Do you
oh
remember? Remember it? It was, look, we did it, we loved it, we got it where
yeah,
we are
we did.
today, right? But it was good fun. But I think we tried it at Living Map. It's one of those things. People don't pick up their phone to numbers they don't recognize anymore. If you do, you're
Yeah,
lucky. You may get one or two hits a day if you make 100
yeah,
calls. So the ability to be able to get your message out there using an AI platform to be able to spread the word into a much more of a larger audience, and then gets you
yeah,
down to that qualified lead. And what I
yeah,
mean is that customer that actually wants to talk to you. So customers are becoming so much more intelligent using AI.
yeah,
We as a Salesforce are becoming so much more intelligent using an AI. So
yeah,
we're not wasting anybody's time.
yeah,
We're not actually saying, we're not cold calling 150 people a day to say, do you want a map? They go, no,
yeah,
not interested. To actually finding those golden nuggets, those one or two little, leads that actually, no, I am looking for increasing
yeah.
productivity.
Qualified leads, really. Qualified
Absolutely. I
leads.
am
Yeah,
looking for visualizing my assets. I am looking to really to enhance what we're trying to do from our customer and our patient and our passenger perspective. That's what
yeah,
we're trying to do. So I really think that, and I think we're only at the I suppose the
the
start of what it's
beginning.
going to do
Yeah,
to help
definitely.
us to sell more, to help customers to be more intelligent, so that they
Yeah,
they don't need to spend hours on the internet trying to find the product they actually need. They can go there, right there it is. This is a warm lead. This is a contact that I've got.
yeah,
5 seconds reading something against, taking a call and being banged away. But
yeah,
and that's why I think we're really starting to embrace it, and I strongly believe the market is going to massively embrace it more and more as we're going along.
yeah,
So
definitely.
more of an intelligent sales process, more of an intelligent customer coming together so that we can actually sell the customer what they want at an earlier stage. So we're reducing lead time to revenue, and we're actually giving the customer what they require quicker and making it more effective for what they need.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I see AI embrace. I mean, Living Map, we embrace AI as much as we can, obviously, from a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
in system which tends to be a little bit more around machine learning. It learns what the customer needs,
yeah, yeah,
which I suppose there is, from those in the background of understanding the two, they are fundamentally different, but they're very similar. If you look about the way they're built, they're similar, but if you actually what they actually do, machine learning learns what the customer
yeah.
needs, right?
It does. It kind of it's
So
adaptive,
that
isn't it? Yeah,
so that's what I see. It's more of an intelligent customer, more of an
yeah,
intelligent sales process, which
yeah,
makes it a little bit easier to get where you need to get to, and also to prove your point, prove your product. One of the greatest things that we used to do, and if you go back to when I first started technology, God knows, years ago,
yeah,
you had a great idea. You weren't really sure whether it was going to go, but it was a great idea, and you think it was going to be good, and you
yeah,
could check the
yeah,
competition. There's loads of people out
yeah,
there. There was a really good book written called "A Good Hard Kick in the Arse," which is all about business startups. If you
right.
believe that you're the person
Yeah.
doing what you're doing, have a look. It's probably not, but
You're
if you
not.
are,
You're definitely not.
probably not the best idea in the world.
Yeah,
Nowadays, using AI, using those kind of platforms, you can fundamentally see what the market's going to accept, and whether
yeah,
your product is going to be good or bad.
yeah,
I've advised startups for years, and it's a great idea because it's coming from my knowledge of the market.
yeah,
Whereas actually, they can do that now using AI platforms to see actually
definitely.
this would be a
Yeah,
really good product. This is
yeah,
going into a niche, whether it's a big niche or a small niche, but it's going into that space. So,
yeah,
and so that's what I'm kind of getting to. We're using AI algorithms, using AI platforms, using
mhm,
AI as a tool. It's going to give the customer more intelligence, the product more intelligence, and get quicker to that revenue. I suppose is the most important thing.
yeah. We've got, certain solutions. I mean, I've got some things, some solutions that some of our people have used, and it's worked for them. It has worked for them in terms of lead generation. I could get a kind of like some bullet points in a presentation I could share with you. Maybe perhaps
Yeah, do
you could,
absolutely.
you could have a look at that, and we could sort of take it from there. So now the magic question. Well, not a magic question. It's a question. Where do you see Living Map going? Where are you going to be in 5 years' time? Or where do what's the future? I mean, obviously we've spoken about your kind of the interrelationship with the product, what the customer wants, and what you can provide as a company. But where do you want to be? World domination? What is it that you're looking for? More,
You've nailed it, Mark. World
growth.
domination.
Listen, one thing I know is that I speak with people and they talk about growth and everything like that, but growth doesn't necessarily mean, you've got to be like Elon Musk, but it can mean growth in terms of, your back office, the efficacy, the way that it operates, getting your time back and everything like that. Where do you see Living Map? What's the future?
Sure. So, we're a global organization, so it's growing
Yeah,
globally, obviously,
excellent.
growing revenue-wise. But I think from the, the the easiest way to answer that question is to answer it in a way that kind of makes sense today, which is sustainable growth.
Right.
What I want to
Yeah.
do is I want to grow this business that it's sustainable for the future.
Right.
We become something that, we become a household name, we become
Yeah.
something that people fundamentally trust, and we're sustainable, so we're an organization that's grown ethically. We've
Yeah.
done it from the right reasons. The whole reason that Living Map was set up in the very first place many years ago
Yeah.
was around accessibility, was around
Right.
giving people accessibility to any kind of building, indoor building. So that person in a wheelchair, that person in the crutches, that blind
Okay.
person, that deaf person can
Yeah.
find where they're going through through an app, through a product that helps. So being able to continue that, I suppose, that efficacy through what
Yeah.
everything we try to do is given that ability to that accessibility to everything internally. So that'd be the first thing. But from me, obviously sustainable growth from a revenue perspective, and then growing and expanding out what we're trying to do. Today it's AI. We embrace AI. We embrace what we're actually doing. What is it tomorrow? What is the new technology that's coming down
Yeah.
that we can get on the back of? Maybe it is quantum computing. Maybe it is something that we can really embrace to say, actually, AI built in with a quantum a processing speed. How quickly can you start to develop mapping technology to do multiple different layers of what you're looking at? So the fire department can walk into a shopping mall and there's been a fire evacuation because there's a fire in a corner. And
Yeah.
before the fire brigade get there, they've got the map in their hand and they know exactly where the fire is, so they can get there. The process is there, it works.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that sustainable growth, but embracing what technology is doing, embracing what the market is demanding, and giving them that and building into that smart world.
Yeah.
So we're always ahead of it. We're always leaning into it.
Yeah.
IoT, industrialized IoT, I say it's a background I know incredibly well. Really leaning into that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's $1 trillion business, IoT.
Oh, my.
So really, how can we embrace that with what
Yeah.
we do? And really support the growth of that to move that forward. But again, it's about sustainable growth. It's about making sure that we're giving something that can be maintained for many, many years. And
Yeah.
people look back and go, it's one of those weird things. My old boss at Telefonica, a guy called Ronan Dunn. He was the chairman of the Rugby Football Union over in the UK, and
Okay.
he
Oh,
always
wow. Yeah.
want leave a legacy behind you where people look back and say, I did that. That's what I
Yeah.
did.
Fantastic.
So I'd love to maybe in 20 years' time look back and see Living Map as
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sustainable growth has grown into a real strong place and say, you know what, I was part of it. So that's what I'm looking at sustainable growth, the real value of what we're trying to achieve. And everything we do, at the core of everything we do is creating value for customers, creating value for people and moving that through. So that's what I'm talking about with sustainable growth.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Peter. It's been a very, very engaging 30 minutes, and thank you very much. Wonderful. Great.
Well,
Thanks so
thank you for your
much.
time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.